Welcome back to the first season edition of the Big Ten Quick Talk podcast. I will go through every single Big Ten team and I will give you my general thoughts on how they did in their week one slate. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and let's dive right in. All right, so I will be running through each team and giving you my thoughts on each one. The first one, last Thursday, August 29th, you had Rutgers beat the daylights out of Howard 44-7. My overall takeaways from this that Rutgers will be very good this year. This game just proved it. I know it's Howard, but Kyle Monangai, he is a top 3 running back in the Big Ten. You cannot dispute that with me. He is elite. Ethan Kaliak-Manis, honestly, little shaky. Only 147 yards in a 44-point affair. Little bit of question on that, but I think that Rutgers will be really good. You had 6 TFLs. Rutgers will be fine this season. Also on Thursday, this is a team that we really got to talk about here, is Minnesota losing to North Carolina 19-17 on that last second field goal. Minnesota just really looks like a poor man's Iowa at this point. Minnesota, Max Brosmer went for, Max Brosmer, not the best quarterback. Again, FCS Max isn't going to get it done for Minnesota this year. That's my week one takeaway from Minnesota. Went for 166 yards. His QBR was 47.7. It was just not very good. Marcus Major is a bright spot on that Minnesota rushing team. 20 carries, 37 yards. Definitely the bell cow of this offense here. Minnesota is just a Big Ten West type of team. They're not great at any position, really at all. So I think life is going to be rough for Michigan, Minnesota. But I think that there's definitely room to grow. Illinois beating Eastern Illinois 45-0. We don't really have to touch on this as much. Luke Altmaier did great, threw for 200 some passing yards. Caden Fegan went for 108 yards. Illinois, I still have my questions. I cannot really make a verdict on them right now just because it's week one. And, look, they played Eastern Illinois. Can't really make too much out of that. So Friday, moving on to the next day that happened, August the 30th, Michigan State barely eked out a win against FAU. Michigan State, man, they have a guy here in Aiden Childs. They're just not using him correctly. I'm convinced of this. Aiden Childs, if he was used correctly in a better system, they can improve this system. I'm not saying that they can't, but Aiden Childs has that. He is that dude if you give him the chance. I just think Michigan State, based off of this game, is not using him as correctly as I think that they should be. He went 10 for 24. He missed 4 more throws than he did complete them. That is a huge red flag. Only 114 yards, His QBR was a 31. Good news is rushing, you had K'Ron Lynch-Adams go for 101 yards, averaged 11.2 yards per carry, which was really good. But really, that's the only bright spot out of this game. Michigan State doesn't look great coming out, but I do think that they will get better. And then Wisconsin had that scare versus Western Michigan. I think that Wisconsin will be fine. This shows that they weren't quite as good as I think that they're going to be. Tyler Van Dyke didn't get to, he was just under 200 passing yards. QBR wasn't great. Ches Malusi and Taiwan Walker were okay in this game. Malusi, a little bit better, obviously, had more yards. But I do think there is a little bit of a cause for concern with Wisconsin, but the best adjustments you're going to make is from week 1 to week 2. You could say that about Michigan State as well. I think Wisconsin is going to become a better team because of this closer game and learn from it. Okay, so moving on to the Saturday, which was a couple days ago for y'all watching out there, Penn State blew out West Virginia. I had this as one of Penn State's toughest 3 games. I had this one pegged as definitely a possible upset, and Penn State beat the living daylights out of West Virginia. I know there was that huge gap in between play, but really from the beginning. It took Drew Aller a little bit to go get up and ready to go. It took him about a series or two, but he finished with 216 passing yards. His QBR was about 100, and I mean he played awesome in this game from what we all saw. I mean, Andy Kotelnicki has done wonders for this offense, especially against a very competent West Virginia um, secondary, and overall defense. Don't get me wrong, West Virginia will still be a very good team this year, but I think that Penn State right now is really hitting their stride, and it's only week one. Rushing, you're going to get great numbers as always, per usual, with a Penn State team. Nick Singleton went for 114, and then just all the way down the line, I thought Katron Allen might do a little bit more with his carries. He had 10 carries for 20 yards. Put that in perspective, Singleton had 13 carries, three more carries, and had almost 90 yards more. So I think that Katron Allen probably could have done more with what he had. Harrison Wallace was targeted a crap ton in this game. He finished with 5 receptions for 117 yards. He was the guy, and he will be the guy to go forward. There are 2 transfers. That would be Jalen Kimber and AJ Harris. Point being that Penn State played elite against a very good team, something that we just aren't accustomed to seeing from a Penn State team. Every time they play a really solid team, we're accustomed to them, said team played really well against Penn State. They kept it close. This is a different Penn State team. This is a Penn State team who could beat Ohio State this year. Dead serious with you guys here. Penn State, I think that they belong in the elite category after this win. It was a statement win. They were one of the winners of college football this week, in my opinion. And Andy Kotelnicki, it was the final piece of the puzzle, in my opinion. Rattling off through, I mean, Iowa beating Illinois State 40-0. Really expected this. Maybe not so many points from Iowa, but they were going to score points on Illinois State. It was a matter of 30 or 40. No reason to get excited about this offense. Let's see it go up against a Big Ten team, or in fact, Iowa State next week. Maryland beat the doors off of UConn. Purdue smacked down on Indiana State. Ohio State, man, Jeremiah Smith, that guy is special. That's all I'm going to say about that game. Indiana blew the doors off of FIU. Miami of Ohio really kept it close to Northwestern. I think I overvalued Northwestern a bit in my preseason predictions. I thought they would be a better coached team than this. I thought I had the benefit of the doubt. I've been proven false. This team just doesn't have a whole lot of talent in general. Nebraska blew the doors off of UTEP. First time we've really seen Nebraska do something like this to a team, and I'm all for it. I mean, Dylan Raiola looked like an NFL quarterback. He has that NFL arm. You don't see that at Iowa. Excuse me for the slander, but you don't see that at Maryland, Purdue. You don't even see that at Ohio State with Will Howard. Dylan Raiola's arm might be one of the best in the Big Ten. It might be a top 3 arm in the Big Ten. Just throwing that out there for you guys. Oregon, I think I'm going to give Oregon the benefit of the doubt here. I think that, the best adjustments are made between weeks 1 and 2, because you finally get to go up against another defense. You finally get to experience a home or away crowd environment, and just playing in the actual game when it matters the most. I think Oregon fell prey to preseason hype, maybe taking this game off. You can't be taking games off here. Oregon found out the hard way. Dan Lanning is too good of a coach to let this slide, and he will have this team ready to go for next week and the weeks going forward. And I think that we will see peak Oregon at midseason. And I think they're going to be extremely good where we all want to put them and did put them in the preseason. And I think that they will be very good this year. All right, so Michigan beat Fresno State by 20 points. Here's the thing with Michigan. I know everyone made their Connor Stallions joke, but Michigan, here's what they need to do. When you get down to business, they need to just stick with one quarterback and ride that quarterback for the rest of the game. They want any shot of beating Texas. You had Davis Warren and Alex Orji going in and out, and then Jack Tuttle also talked about getting reps and whatnot. They just need to stick with one guy, have him be the unquestioned starter until he just throws it all in the sewer. If Davis Warren ends up sucking and just being terrible against Texas, so be it. He needs to be the unquestioned starter. You could say, just fill in the name. I'd pick Davis Warren as an example, Alex Orji, Jack Tuttle. But really, they need to stick with one guy for a full game, and they need to not keep it a mystery. That's my spiel on Michigan. Of course, they're going to have an elite defense, as always. I think that was shown in this game. Their wide receiver room, again, bit of a trouble. I still think Michigan's going to be a very good team, and I don't think there's too much else to take away from this game. UCLA didn't watch this game against Hawaii, won by 3 points. I think all this affirms is that UCLA is not going to be very good. And then Washington beat the doors off of Weber State. So thank you guys so much for watching. Keep it here on the channel, as I will be giving you guys weekly updates on the Big Ten and my thoughts about them, and then possibly we can expand from there. Great things happening with the channel right now, and I would love for you guys to stay. So if you wouldn't mind, just share this with a friend, like the video, subscribe, comment your thoughts down below if you feel so inclined to, get the video out there to more viewers. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.